you're in for a treat, okay? This guy is a legend in our industry. You know what I love the most with Bob McSherry? This is what I love the most, is he never holds back. He never sugarcoats anything. He just lays it out there as it is. The man has a spine that is not just strong spine, it's titanium. So welcome, my good friend, Bob McSherry. This guy you're going to enjoy. So let's get into it. Where is he at? I saw him pop
Where'd
up on
Bob
screen.
go? Where'd Bob go?
Did I do too strong of an introduction? Maybe we scared him off.
I think you scared him off.
I'm here.
There we go. There he is.
So,
What's happening, Bob? Good to see you, man.
Same here, brother. What's happening?
Well, we're just we're out here trying to change the world one body shop at a time, man. That's what we do.
God hates a coward.
That's it. That's it. So hey, thanks for jumping in, man. You've been doing amazing things for a long time, and we thought, this is time for the rest of the world to see a little of the Bob McSherry magic. And so, tell us a little bit about your market, some of the things that you've been doing in your market. Obviously, things have changed, and tell us what's going on in your market and what you're doing to kind of stand out.
Well, like I was listening, claims are down a little bit all across the country. We see it in our market also. The consolidators have slowly started pushing into our market. And it's usually a cause for concern, but I've always believed if you take care of what goes on under your own roof and you do it better than the shop next door, you're going to be just fine. And so far, that's played out. Very heavily in OEM certification. We're on with 21 or 22 different programs.
Wow.
We're on some of the pay-to-plays, and I'm not trying to offend anybody if you're on the group, but we're on some of the heavy European and the aluminum programs too. I firmly believe that that's where we're going. I'm hopeful there's going to be a day where DRPs go away and OEM certification programs take their place. The technology's there for the car makers to own first notice of loss. They're just a little bit leery of it.
Right. Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. Other than the OEM certification, what are some other ways you see the industry kind of evolving, and what's your plans at your company to stay ahead of this curve? Is that too much of a big secret?
It's not really too much of a big secret. It's never to stop working on building your bench. Face it, our industry is loaded with a bunch of guys with more of my color hair than less Orion's color hair. How do we get the newer generation to buy into what we do and enjoy what we do? It's not a dirty profession anymore. It's much different than it was when I started back in 1984. I never thought I'd see a day there's a laptop on every tech toolbox. There is now.
Yeah. Well, how are you solving that problem internally?
We work hard with the area tech schools. I'm a byproduct of the local tech school. My youngest son's in there right now. I've had good luck recruiting out of there. I've got probably 7 or 8 employees that came out of the local tech school that have been with me a while.
Well, good for you. That's great.
Yep, it's getting a little harder now because I think we all realize that today's generation doesn't think driving's that important. And it's not like you can put yourself in an envelope and mail yourself to work every day. So it's getting them to work that's a little entertaining. We're seeing the local tech schools now starting to do travel vouchers to get the kid to use so they can at least Uber to work. If we can get them in the door and get them interested, if you hook them when they're young, you got a good shot at keeping them. And, it's the 1 out of 5 rule. You're going to get 1 out of 5, but it's worth the risk.
That's interesting. So, how long have you been doing this for now, Bob? Going
too long,
yeah.
Way too long.
Too long.
41 years.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but you've also been trying to grow your bench for a long time as well. So when we talk about, creating an environment that these kids actually want to come to, like how do we as shops, how do we create that appealing offer to make people interested in coming to work for us? It didn't historically, we haven't had the sex appeal, if you will, like, ooh, it's not some big tech firm with beanbag chairs. It's a dirty body shop. What are you doing to stand out in these kids' minds that they want to even entertain coming to work for you?
Shorter work weeks.
I can call
so
yeah.
It's worked out really well with doing shorter work weeks. We do 4.5-day work weeks.
Okay.
I wish I did it I wish I did it 25 years ago. It has changed our culture. It has changed their outlook. I mean, it's nice to have a 2.5 day weekend. I
Right.
mean, today's generation takes their time off a lot more serious than ours did, and
Yeah.
they've got it right. You know, how many trips do you go on where you see all these old folks, and I'm not far from them, so I can call them old folks with walkers and stuff traveling. Wouldn't you want to do that when you're young and you don't need a walker? You know, and these kids are prioritizing that. They're not wrong in that aspect one bit.
Right.
So it's finding what works. I'm finding that, believe it or not, money's not the main motivator in a lot of these kids. It's
That's
quality
right.
of life, and
Wow.
it's understanding what their quality of life means to them. It's
Do you?
hard. I'm not going to lie to you, because
Yeah.
they're a difficult book to read, some of them, but
Yeah.
once you get the hang of it, and and get it, and get how to really think in their thought process,
Yeah.
it's actually pretty eye-opening. These kids are pretty goddamn smart.
I
So
agree. I'm a veteran like you know, and I'm inspired by what this younger generation is doing. They're really looking for meaning in the workplace, right? It's not
yep,
just about twist and wrench. It's about the difference they're making in somebody's life by twisting that wrench. Don't you
yep.
find that to be
And
true?
I do, and the biggest thing is a lot of these kids don't have the hand skills that our generation did, and it's our fault. It's this generation's parents' fault, and I'm one of them, because we wanted to do everything for our kids. We didn't want them to do it. Let me do it for you. Don't get dirty, and we did it wrong. My youngest son, I turned him loose. That kid's going to be a machine. My
Yeah.
older two, to
Wow.
watch him with a ratchet and a wrench is painful. It's actually comical.
Isn't that something? Amazing. So, I mean, I'm just watching the chat box here, and there's lots of people that are doing the 4 day work week. Um, Randy here has a comment. How do you make that work? Right. So I think maybe there's some misconceptions, or people are like, wait,
Yep.
you're only open 4 days a week. Does that mean you're closed? Are you staggering staff? What can you give a little bit of the fundamentals for some of the viewers?
So you got to really pull your staff. We did it by paper ballot on whether they wanted to do 4 day work weeks or 4.5 day work weeks. 4 day work weeks, you're working 4 10s. And I had some of my staff say, I don't want to work 10-hour days. Well, a lot of us remember our first part-time job,
Hmm.
and they were 10-hour days. I mean, 10-hour days was nothing back then. But my question was to them is, we're working 10-hour days now. Why
Right.
don't we go from an hour lunch to a half an hour lunch and do
Hmm.
that? But they voted on doing a 4.5 day work week, where we actually start an hour earlier in the morning. They still take their hour lunch, and then noon on Friday, they're gone. If they want their overtime, they start at 6 a.m. If they don't want overtime, they start at 7 a.m. And it's worked out really well. The office, we stagger. The hardest part of this program is what to do with your front office, because your customers want to pick up on Friday afternoon.
Right.
It's an excuse for them to get out of work early and blame it on the body shop. I got to get my car. I got to leave early.
Yep.
Um,
So I
so
think,
that's the hardest thing.
like, a lot of people are probably thinking, how do I balance customer service with 4 day work weeks, and what does that look like? And so I think you kind of touched on it. So you're staggering the front office. Can you
Mhm.
maybe give a little more context about that?
So we hired one additional CSR, and we rotate them in and
Okay.
out. So every other Friday, one of them gets to go home at noon.
Right.
Hmm.
So is it the same as the back staff? No, but I said my goal to them was, by the middle of 2025, if they can get all the cars delivered by Thursday evening, even if we got to come in Friday till 10, we'll knock off at 12. And they're working towards it. They're really giving it hell.
Isn't that
If we can
wild?
get the car done a day earlier, it benefits all of us.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we found a lot of our clients that gone to 4 day work weeks. Their cycle time is actually better than when they were working 5 days.
Yep. The
Yep.
only thing that impacts it a little bit is, with all the OE certs, is the training. When you lose a guy for training, or two of them got to go at the same, one for one car maker and one for the other, it can get a little challenging, but it's
That's
no
part
different if they get sick. You just figure it out.
that's part of it. Well, you know, Bob, you've picked up a lot of wisdom over the 41 years you've been in this business, and super grateful you're sharing it with our audience here. It means a
Mhm.
lot. You've done
Yep.
some amazing things out there.
There's
So
there's a lot there's a lot smarter people on this call than me. Trust me, they're just quiet.
I knew
I see them in the background.
I had a feeling he would say that, Ryan.
yeah.
And it's not
Bob,
Ryan.
it cuts deep, but it's accurate. If that wasn't true, it hurt my feeling. So,
Yeah.
Bob, one final piece of advice, one parting piece of advice for shops. What would you say to shops that are on the call right now? What would you advise them to focus on?
Focus on retaining your employees. Don't tolerate the behavior of bad ones because it ruins the behavior of your good ones. And never stop building your bench, ever. Because unfortunately, tomorrow, we never know what it brings.
Yeah, 110%. My friend, thank you so
That
much
was
for sharing
awesome.
your wisdom, sharing your time. As always,
No
you're a
problem,
crowd
guys.
pleaser. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, Bob. Thank you,
See you,
Bob.
Take
Bob.
care.